All right, it is March 27th, 2021. So on the news, we have obviously the King's Super grocery store shooting. We also have Biden's stimulus ideas about the child tax credit. And what else do we got going on? George Floyd, his murder trial. And I just want to point out that every time I turn on the news, it's always about couples and families, right? So the victims of the shooting earlier this week, the families they leave behind, the children they leave. Don't get me wrong, that is tragic. I'm willing to bet out of the 10 people, I haven't really followed the news much, I'm willing to bet there were a couple single people in there. Now, here's the thing. Is it not tragic that the singles involved in that story, they might have had plans for the upcoming year, especially if we're optimistic about the end of the pandemic. They might have had trips they wanted to take. They might have had, for me, it would be going to the Computer Olympiad, potentially networking with other people. Is that not equally tragic? And then we talk about the murder of George Floyd. There are a lot of singles who were murdered too. Some of them in similar circumstances to George Floyd. Some of them people of color as well. Now, we keep sensationalizing George Floyd's wife and children. And don't get me wrong, it is tragic. It is what it is. Don't get me wrong. I wish... Now, people wonder, what do I want to have happen? Do I want singles to be elevated to some kind of... No! I want stories to be agnostic of people's family structures. I can't tell you how many times I try to deal with something, right? So a few years ago, I was in between apartments when I needed to renew my driver's license. And first, I was arguing with them about whether or not they could send the license to a P.O. box. And the guy behind the counter asked me if I had a friend or a family member to take the license for me. And I'm thinking to myself, I might be able to take care of that, but why do you assume that I have somebody else in my life, right? Why can't one person be independent of that, right? I was very upset. I didn't show it. Eventually, I convinced his manager somewhere else to send it. I had a workplace address he could send it to. But it just goes to show, why do you assume I have to have somebody in my life? Right? I'm not saying I need to get special treatment, but be agnostic of the fact that not every murder victim, not everybody who is needs stimulus, or not everybody who is involved in some kind of... Don't sensationalize the idea of two people being in love and having children. Please stop sensationalizing. That's all I ask for. It really is that simple. Singles sometimes get victimized by shootings. Sometimes they get victimized by the pandemic. Sometimes they end up dying in the hospital, and they would have had nobody to visit in the first place, and now they can't, right? That happens to singles too. Anyways, I'm gonna read more into the details of the 10 victims last week, and I'm sure there are singles in there. We haven't heard much about them on the news, obviously, and that is unfortunate. I feel sorry for all the things they leave behind in the world. Thanks for watching.